This is Carolina Haints. Carolina Haints presents Folk, a show about our stories. I'm your host, Dan Sellers. Revolution is an interesting word. It's generally associated with great change, but really to complete a revolution means to come right back to where you started. Michel Ney was Napoleon Bonaparte's right-hand man and Marshal of France. He was a brilliant military strategist and loyal Frenchman until the day he died. Napoleon himself called Ney, quote, the bravest of the brave, end quote. Ney led what was called the Old Guard into battle many times and had always emerged victorious, until they weren't. After Napoleon's defeat at the Battle of Waterloo, he was once again exiled. Michel Ney was captured and tried for treason. On December 7, 1815, Ney was sentenced to be executed before a firing squad. He was given the option of wearing a blindfold, but declined. Due to his high-ranking military status, he was allowed to order the troops to fire. His last words were, quote, soldiers, when I give the command to fire, fire straight at my heart. Wait for the order. It will be my last to you. I protest against my condemnation. I have fought 100 battles for France, and not one against her. Soldiers, fire! Ney was laid to rest in Paris. Now let's jump ahead to the following year when a peculiar Frenchman, also with the surname of Ney, being Peter Stuart Ney, arrived at the port of Charleston. Over the following years, he worked his way through the Carolinas, eventually settling in Rowan County. Ney worked as a school teacher and taught community children all throughout the Piedmont. Peter Ney was a worldly man with a boisterous personality. He knew how to handle his sword and could ride a horse like nobody's business. It was obvious that Ney was a bit of a genius and held many secrets close to his heart. But in 1821, upon hearing of the death of Napoleon, he completely lost it. He reportedly fainted in front of his students and later went into a deep depression, even attempting to slit his own throat. However, Ney lived on for a few more decades, in which people began speculating that Ney perhaps wasn't who he said he was. Peter Ney was said to have had an impressive knowledge of the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars, and was even known to correct false assertions found in textbooks. Upon being spotted in Columbia, South Carolina, and once in Statesville, word began to spread that Marshal Ney was in fact alive. Peter Ney's weakness was in fact the drink, and on several occasions he was known to confide his true identity to drinking partners. Over time, he supposedly loosened up on who he confided in, confessing that he in truth was Michel Ney, Marshal of France. But for the most part, he remained quiet about his true identity out of fear of assassination, if the Bourbons of France knew he survived. It's thought that the firing squad at Marshal Ney's execution was composed of men who had served under him, and that they allowed him to flee France, presenting another body to be buried in his place. There's also rumors of a Masonic conspiracy that helped him flee the country. And Peter even told friends that the Duke of Wellington was responsible for orchestrating his escape. Peter Stuart Ney died in Cleveland, North Carolina on November 15, 1846, While on his deathbed, Ney was asked by his doctor and present friends to come clean about his identity. The legend has it before he passed away, Ney sat up in the bed, looked at his friends and said, "I will not die with a lie on my lips. I am Marshal Ney of France." Ney was buried in the graveyard of the Third Creek Presbyterian Church in Cleveland. The plot containing his body was encased in a brick tomb, which contains Ney's footstone. On the outside of the tomb, a plaque contains the following words: "In memory of Peter Stuart Ney, a native of France and soldier of the French Revolution under Napoleon Bonaparte, who departed this life November 15, 1846, aged 77 years. And Ney played an important role in the history of nearby Davidson College. He designed the college's official seal, which they still use today. And now, Davidson College has an extensive research collection on Ney in their archives. To try to settle this mystery, 3 exhumations of Ney's grave have been conducted over the years. The first in the 1890s, the second in the 1940s, and most recently in 2022, when a French TV show, History and the Scalpel, dug for 3 days without finding a single bone. Apparently, part of Ney's skull was recovered after the second exhumation and donated to Davidson College in the 1950s. The college returned the bone to the Third Creek Presbyterian Church so that it could be reinterred. The TV show came to the conclusion that the skull fragment did not belong to Marshal Ney. To this day, the true identity of Peter Stuart Ney and the truth surrounding the execution of Marshal Michel Ney remains a mystery. This podcast is brought to you by Wreak Havoc Productions and Carolina Haints Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting folklore storytelling throughout the Carolinas. You can learn more about us, including our book, Legends and Lore Markers, and upcoming tour dates on our website, carolinahaints.com. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Tune in then to keep the folk tradition of oral storytelling alive.